All right, welcome back for the afternoon segment of Prepping Outside the Box. I'm Josh, and today we're going over stress shooting. Right before that, if you would be so kind, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Whatever you do helps me grow. Anyways, stress shooting. So I'm going over more or less the importance of stress shooting. I'm not going to be going over specific drills. That is something that I highly recommend you find an instructor and have him or her take you through a course of stress shooting so you can get the feel for it and get an idea of what you should be training and doing, right? Anyways, getting into it. So first off, the idea of stress shooting is going to be to copy or simulate some kind of real world stress. Right? So you're trying to help yourself fight through the fatigue and still perform ideally, right? A few ways this can be performed. So my favorite, obviously, is the first one I'm going to talk about, is going to be through physical exertion. You go out there and you hammer yourself into the ground and then get up, you do your drill, and then you go and you hammer yourself on the ground and you do your drill and you keep your heart rate elevated and you keep that stress in your body, right? Another one, it's a good one, it's a little bit different. It's more, it's for timers. So that beep, everything that sits there and buzzes up in your ear and you're trying to shoot and get a certain time for a drill or whatever it is, it still adds an element of stress. It's not as fatiguing, obviously, it's more mental, but timers do an effect too. A big one too is competition. When you're amped up that you have to beat somebody else and you have to be competitive. Competition does nothing if you're not competitive because you don't care. But anyways, competition's a good one just to have a different side of the stress that you can deal with. But again, my favorite, physical exertion, right? I'm not going to be talking about like losing your fine motor skills, because basically if you lost all your fine motor skills, you wouldn't be able to really properly manipulate a firearm, right? Fine motor skills is how you manipulate a firearm. But I will say I do think that they can be hindered. A lot of that, I believe, is going to be in part to your mind being unfocused. You're dealing with stress, you're thinking about something else, you're somewhere else in your head, and you're not focused on the task at hand, right? And that is where a thing that people like to talk about called muscle memory comes in. And people call it different things, I still call it muscle memory. This thing called muscle memory can drastically improve issues, basically because your subconscious is taking over and almost like the take the wheel, as it were, right? Your body's like, no, we've got this. It's something you've been training on over and over again, shooting regular still targets, building fundamentals, and a basis for yourself, right? The muscle memory of manipulating a firearm. I had an old, 20 years ago? No, 18 years ago? Anyways, a while ago, I had an old platoon sergeant that would always tell us practice makes permanent, not perfect. He said nothing's perfect. Practice makes permanent, which is talking about basically like muscle memory, right? Constantly doing something is going to make it something that's going to be permanent, a backup basically, as you will, for your body. Now, working through these drills more than once should increase your ability with, said firearm you're training with when you're calm. So you're going through all these stress shoots, however you decide to perform it, depending on what you can take. But you're going through all these stress shoots, and now when you're shooting at still targets, all calm and breathing, it should improve your skills on that level, right? Now keep in mind, talking about shooting calm and still, that if you're great, say with a pistol, right? You're great shooting at 25 yards, which is challenging for a lot of people, right? But say you're great at shooting 25 yards. You can draw, bam, 2 shots, 25 yards, center mass, whatever it is. Right when you add stress into that situation, if you are great at 25 yards, you're most likely great at 15 yards. Right? Because things do hinder that. The same goes for other distances. If you're great at 50 yards, you're probably only great at like 25 yards. And 10 yards and 3 yards, it'll break down, but you're not going to be that perfect shooter you are in a calm environment under stress, right? And that is the reason we do stress drills, because you've got to train, you've got to get into it, you've got to start conditioning your body to deal with it basically. It'll increase your shooting, your ability further out, right? Further distances. These should not be gaffed off. Remember, like I said a second ago, we're usually, as a whole, most of us are shooting at still targets. You go out to the range, steel targets, paper targets, what is it, right? Whatever it is, 3D targets, but you're shooting at still targets. And under stress, it is going to be a lot harder. We broke that down already. Now, consider the fact that your target might not be still in real life. You're protecting the safety and security of you and yours, and the person that may be the target for you to protect, your family or whatever, is probably moving, right? He's probably not still. Now, add stress into that, right? So he's not a still piece of paper target. You're stressed out because he's an attacker or whatever it is. He's moving on top of that and possibly shooting back, right? You got kind of like just a trifecta of stress. So we're building on our shooting ability, our skills, through regular fundamentals, going into stress shooting and things like that, and then building up to that point where hopefully you ever get a chance to shoot on, not talking about people, talk about moving side to side targets, moving and shooting and things like that. You can get into other types that'll just build on that, but just consider the stressful part of it is what we're talking about, dealing with your ability to hit the same target under stress, right? Anyways, I just wanted you to consider the fact that your target's most likely moving and shooting back. And so you might think you're wonderful out at the range, but conditions change. Not saying you'll be bad under stress. I'm just saying you need to condition yourself and find out where you're at, where your ability is at. I will say keep all this in mind, and please train this way ever so often. It's not like every single time you go shooting you train this way. You have to fall back and do fundamentals and do other things too. Everything's perishable in the shooting life, right? That's what I like to say. Shooting is perishable. But anyways, stress shooting, the types of ways you can do it, physical fitness, timers, competition, to name a few. If you want to add anything to this, please throw it in the comments section. There's so many people out there that have a lot of experience in shooting and different things. There's instructors out there and all that kind of stuff that maybe has learned something that helps them when they're teaching their classes or whatever it is. If you want to throw that in the comments section, go ahead. It's going to help everybody grow. Again, try to find an instructor and let him or her teach you guys and go through some of these drills so you do it safely and you do it effectively, because what good is training if you're doing it wrong, right? All right, anyways, stress shooting, it's important, right? I'm prepping outside the box, Josh, and I'll see you tomorrow.